Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Honkai Star Rail video, and today, as promised in my previous video, we're going to do a little account overview, kind of show you where my account is at, because it's been a while since I've done a Star Rail video. So we're going to take a look at kind of what I just have going on in general. Just so you know, I have been logging in every day, keeping up with the dailies. I've currently, if you check my mission tab here, I have everything done. I got nothing to do other than maybe there's a random mission on a map somewhere I haven't executed yet. But for the most part, we've got all the content done. So I've kept up with everything. So what I want to do is just talk about where my account is at. And maybe we'll kind of start on the Stellar Jade front and kind of what I've been able to save and talk about what I'm saving for. We'll talk about my team comps and kind of what I have going on, and we'll go through that. Actually, let's start with the team comps. That way you can kind of see what my characters are, where my account is at. And then we'll look at the Jades and we'll look at kind of pull plans and things like that. But already here, you know, I've kind of shown you, I've got all missions done. And if we go into like Forgotten Hall stuff, right? So if we go into, you know, we've got Forgotten Hall, we've got Pure Fiction, we got Apocalyptic Shadow. This is essentially like your end game content, right? And these are the things that'll refresh periodically. These are the things that, you know, are, for the most part, this is what pressures people to pull. Try to keep up with modern teams and things like that. So the first tip I'm going to give you guys in terms of if you want to be effective with your Stellar Jade spending and trying to be free to play or whatever, don't feel pressure by this. And what you'll see here, you'll see I don't have every star, right? My Apocalyptic Shadow, actually, this is the one that just updated. I got a 12 out of 12 on that. I may do a video just showing my runs of those. I didn't record them. I can just do them again. But maybe that'll be kind of my first, like, game content video that I do, is maybe I'll do a run on the current thing of that. And that's probably what I'll do moving forward, is as these updates, I'll kind of just show my runs on these. Pure Fiction, I'm 10 out of 12 on that one. Was not able to get that one all the way. Now, granted, I've only attempted it a couple times. I could attempt it more. Typically, when I don't get all the stars, it's not because I die. It's because, you know, it's usually turn restriction, right? That's where they try to get you, because you can build really good preservation teams. I mean, I've said this before, but like when I have Adventurine on my team, I basically feel like I can't die. I don't think I've ever died running my Adventurine team. Like I literally feel like I can't die. So the way they have to get you is they got to pressure you with turn count, right? That's what's going to try to get the players to keep summoning for new characters, right? So 10 out of 12, good enough for me. And then Forgotten Hall, I'm just missing 1 star on that, and that one I believe also was turn count. So whatever, I might go back and reattempt them, whatever. But I've said this before, and this is going back to like my Defo days. Any gacha game, this is a good general rule. Never feel pressure from difficult content to summon for something just to beat content. Because you're going to spend more trying to get the characters for the content than the reward you're going to earn for completing it. And the nice thing with these, I know there's some people that they really have the FOMO, or they really don't like the idea of having something incomplete on their game. Well, if you just make it till it cycles out, that 10 out of 12, you know, if that 10 out of 12 Pure Fiction really bugs you, it's going to go away at some point. You're going to get a fresh one, and maybe you'll hit it on the next one, right? So the first piece of advice in terms of summoning and whatever is only summon for what you want to summon because you want to summon for it, or because it's meta relevant or whatever, but don't summon to beat a singular quest or a singular mission, especially if it's a character you don't want. And in Star Rail, you know, it uses the Genshin Impact, the Hoyoverse, we can now call it, right? The Hoyoverse style of summoning. It's not generous in terms of wanting to like max dupe characters immediately. That's very expensive. But if you plan properly, plan your Jades, the pity system actually makes it very easy to kind of guarantee yourself success and guarantee free-to-play success if you spread out your pulls and plan properly, because the pity system is going to have, you know, there's going to be a bare minimum point that you'll have to get to before, you know, you'll get a character. There's always a stopping point. It's not like Dokkan where you literally can summon forever and not get what you want. So at least there's, you know, a maximum that you would have to spend on a certain banner. As long as you make sure you have materials to exceed that, you're guaranteed to get what you want, right? So that's where I am kind of on endgame content. Let's look at the teams. Now, the other piece of advice I would give players, if you want to be free to play, if you want to save your Jades, whatever, and this is a very obvious thing, but a lot of people kind of don't adhere to this, you don't summon every banner. And especially in a Hoyoverse game, you do not summon every banner because the pity rate is, you're going to have to do 90 summons to guarantee a character. Outside of the pity, or like I think it's after 70, the pull rate goes up. So pretty much until you're at 70 pulls, it's pretty much unrealistic to pull something. You can, like it's happened, but the rates are so bad that you pretty much have to get a soft pity or a hard pity on something. So if you're going to summon every single banner, you're going to be drained out real quick. So my first advice, sprout your pulls. So my strategy is I've basically settled on, in the current meta, right? I've done several teams throughout various metas, but in the current meta game, I have 3 competitive teams that I feel like can beat modern content depending on what they ask for. And going back to, let me jump back into Forgotten Hall really quick. The thing that players need to understand so far, and I think this will probably change in the future, but so far, Star Rail doesn't really give you an incentive to have more than, say, 2 to 3 really good built-out teams. Because no content requires more than 2 teams, right? Forgotten Hall is a 2-team format. Pure Fiction is a 1-team format. And Apocalyptic Shadow is a 2-team format. Okay? So, I don't know, is Pure Fiction 2-team format? I don't even remember. It's probably a 2-team format here, too. Look, I'll just go into a fight here and just double check. Yeah, it's a 2-team format. So yeah, these are all 2-team formats, right? So realistically, you don't need to have more than 2 competitive teams. I think 3 is a good number to be at, just because, what gets you is there's going to be different gimmicks in the fights, and they're usually going to be pushing what's modern. So as I showed you earlier, I had a 10 out of 12 and an 11 out of 12. So the reason why I wasn't able to perfect some of these is because they're pushing memo sprites really hard right now, right? They're pushing Remembrance. And I haven't pulled for any of the Remembrance stuff other than Hyacinth. And I'll explain why I pulled for Hyacinth and maybe not some of the other really good characters that have come out, right? Like, I skipped Casterus, which is crazy because Casterus is really, really good, right? But just because they're good doesn't mean you should instantly pull for them. And I'll explain about that when I talk more about pull plans. But there's a reason why I pulled Hyacinth, and we'll talk about it in my pull plan video, right? But right now, kind of my 3 competitive teams. So I have my break team here, which is I would say is a pretty top tier break team. We got Firefly, Fugue, Ranmei, and Lingsha. That's pretty much, as good as it gets right there, right? So that's my break team I've been running. And then the other team I have is my Acheron team. Now, normally in Hyacinth's spot, I have Gallagher. But what I found with this team, Acheron, and my Acheron's E6, right? So I went crazy on her. That's not free-to-play strategy. That was the one time I probably went beyond where I wanted to in terms of spending on this game. I'm never doing anything like that again. But the E6 Acheron can seriously carry. The problem with this team, even with Gallagher on it, Gallagher synergizes well with Acheron because he does debuffing, which Acheron wants, and he heals. But Gallagher's healing is typically too slow, and when I really need it, I don't have it. And so the problem with this team is it's very squishy. It would die, right? So one reason I got Hyacinth is because Hyacinth really helps the Acheron team right now. Now, Hyacinth's not throwing down debuffs, so Acheron's a little bit slower to get to her ultimate. But gosh darn it if I'm not dying anymore, because Hyacinth's buffing my HP and healing a lot. So, because characters like Silverwolf and Sparkle, like, they fall over and die all the time. Because their HP isn't that crazy. They don't have the greatest defense. They can get 1 or 2 shots sometimes. So, Hyacinth's increasing the party max HP really, really helps. And then once again, she's got healing on her skill and healing on her ultimate. So she's got double healing and cures debuff. So, like, all the really good things you want. Hyacinth can even dish out a little bit of damage depending on how you build her, but you get that crit damage up, she's pretty good. But she's not here for the damage. So I do now consider my Acheron team like meta relevant. Like, I've run this in current content and it works. Okay. This will change later on down the road. I'll probably get stuff, to add to the Acheron team, but we'll see. This is pretty much my main team right here. Like, this is the thing where, like, if I don't know what I want to run, this is pretty much my go-to. So this is my follow-up team. My favorite part about it is that my girl March is on the team, right? So Fei Xiao, March, Robin, and Aventurine. I would say, the top tier version of this deck would have a 5-star character in place of March. So something like a Topaz or just another really top tier follow-up character. But March works really, really well and pairs really, really well with Fei Xiao. And because of that partner ability March has, it makes them basically bounce follow-up attacks off of each other and gets Fei Xiao built up really fast. And because I've got Aventurine here, I just feel like I never die. This team can be a little bit slower to beat content, so this is where turn count will get me, because this team isn't very AoE focused. It's very single target focused. So it's kind of like this team is about kind of picking off enemies one at a time, but Robin is giving us a lot of free turns, and we're getting a lot of just jump up through that and a lot of follow-up attacks. So it's kind of like a death by paper cuts team where we're dishing out a ton of attacks over and over and over again. Fei Xiao will get some big ultimates off, and we're kind of picking off. But when we're getting, like this team isn't good in, say, Pure Fiction, where we're getting tons of waves of small enemies over and over and over again. This team pretty much can't do Pure Fiction effectively, unless it's got more like boss monsters in it, and it's not always like waves of 5 small enemies. So that's where this team maybe lacks a little bit. That's why you want to balance the teams, because you want to be able to do different content. I have other teams too that I'll build outside of these for different things. Like, I'll bring out like Himiko, right, and Herta to do some Pure Fiction stuff if it works, because that's still a really fun wombo combo I'll do. But in terms of like my main team for difficult content, like this is the 3 I'm kind of rolling with. And because Star Rail hasn't really pressured me to say, hey, you need a 4th team or you need a 5th team for content, it's not like Defo where it had a boss rush where you had, that one had 6 character teams instead of 3 character teams. That was an example of Defo saying, hey, you might need a little bit more here, or going into Dimension's End and saying, hey, you need a bunch of characters here and they're going to get locked out and you need more characters. That was that game's way of saying, hey, you need a really strong box of stuff, right? In Dokkan Battle, Ultimate Clash, right? That's another one. It's like you need a big expansive box of characters and teams to beat. Star Rail doesn't really have anything that says I need a bajillion teams, right? So I think right now, if the meta for this game doesn't change, if they don't come up with new content, I think you can safely sit at 2 to 3 meta relevant teams, and you don't really need to feel pressured to summon beyond that. So let's get into summoning strategy here, right? So let's go into my Make-A-Wish section here. Let's do that, or the Warp section. You will see I am sitting at 41 gold tickets and 40,000 jades. And this is all free to play. Okay? I haven't, since Acheron, I don't think I've bought jades on this game. I've maybe done the monthly pass, but you don't get a ton of jades from that. So I haven't straight out bought jades since Acheron. So this is basically free-to-play jades you're looking at. This is completing content and just saving and not summoning on a ton of banners, right? So I have been saving for a while. Hyacinth I just pulled on, and Hyacinth took me 3 multis. And so that was off of my last summon, I knew I was guaranteed to get the pity. I had gotten an off banner on my last 5-star summon. So right now, I was actually pretty close to a pity, so I wasn't surprised that it only took me 3 multis. So 3 multis, my guaranteed pity came in, I got Hyacinth. So if I didn't pull for Hyacinth, I would actually be at 70 gold tickets right now. Okay, now with 40 gold tickets and 40k gems, I mean, that's guaranteed. Because it's 16,000 gems roughly, are actually a little bit less than that to get, because a guaranteed pity's 90 pulls, which is 9 multi-summons, right? So for every 9 multi-summons my account can do, I got a guaranteed pity, and that's if I don't get a soft pity. So I feel like I'm roughly able to get maybe 2 to 3 5-stars for sure out of this, maybe more. So that's kind of where my count is at. Now, that being said, it might seem like I have a ton of summoning materials right now, because 40,000 jades does sound like a lot, right? 40 gold tickets seems like a lot. But if you want to summon a 5-star with dupes, you could wipe all of this out for sure. There's no way, this isn't even close to enough to get an E6 character, right? So you have to be very smart about how you go in. And if a character needs to be E0, if it's okay E1, E2, you got to really plan. But you can't just go in and max dupe a character unless you're going to wail on the game, right? So Hyacinth being a support character, I was fine with E0. Now, in terms of pull plans for my account personally and what's coming up, and the kind of the strategy I've taken moving forward is I just look at my teams, and when a new character comes out, and there's basically 2 situations when you summon a character that you should summon it, right? the character either has to highly benefit and be an improvement to a team you are already running. That's the time you definitely like pull for a character. The other instance is you're going to use that character to start a new team in which you either have to already have other pieces for that team or be planning to pull the pieces for said team, right? So the reason why I haven't been summoning Remembrance is because I haven't been interested in Remembrance, and a lot of the characters want to have other memo sprites out, and they have to do with other Remembrance characters, and as of right now, I haven't been interested in that. You know, I didn't summon for Castris because Castris is a crazy good DPS character, but I didn't really have a team set up for her, and I didn't want to put out the materials to summon for the things I would need to make her team the best it can be, right? So, and I was content with what I already had. So I looked at Castris, and yep, anniversary character, ridiculously good character. But I looked at my teams and I said, is Castris going to help my follow-up team? No, I don't know what I would take out. I would just keep this team as is, right? Look at the Acheron team. Well, Acheron's already my main DPS. You could run Castris in a dual DPS setup, but I felt like this team didn't really, this isn't really the fit for Castris, right? And then I was looking here on the break team. Well, Castris isn't really a break character. And if I put a non-break effect type of thing onto the team, then it's going to de-synergize it, right? And I've kind of built the synergy. Like, all these characters are built up on break effect, and that's what the team is meant to do. Castris really doesn't do anything for this team. I don't need Castris here. So for me, if I'm going to pull for Castris, it means I've got to build a new team for her, which means I've got to, once again, use all these materials, and I wasn't prepared to do that, right? Now, what I am prepared to do is to plan ahead and look at what's the next character I want to go in on. Because the other thing you're thinking about when you're summoning a character, is this a support role character? Is it a DPS character? Is it like kind of a sub DPS with maybe like nihility, you know, debuffing effects? You know, what is the character's role? But if you're going for like a DPS character, these are typically characters you build around, right? So if a character comes out and it's a DPS, you really want to have the right supporting cast for them. And what you guys have noticed, if we look at the banners, I mean, they're throwing a lot more stuff at us, right? Some of the, like right now, this is a pretty regular cycle. We have 2 main characters, and then we've got, you know, our 4-star characters there. But what they've been doing is periodically they'll throw in these other banners where there's like 3 different 5-stars and you can choose one, right? And they're going to be doing more of that moving forward. So they're going to be throwing more options at us because they want us to have the ability to build these optimal teams, and they want us to be pressured to summon more, right? To pull more. So what I've looked at is I kind of, you know, if you look at leaks and whatnot and see what's coming out, like we kind of know the timeline for characters coming out next, right? Like I think Finon's coming out really soon. And then we've got more characters building on that, but I think Finon might be the next one, right? So he's a DPS character. So it's like, all right, do I want to build around, you know, Phanon, or do I want to do something else? And so Phanon's not really interesting to me, so I'm not going to summon for him. It's not a character I want to build around. Now, if he's someone you want to build around, then go for it. Do some research, figure out what his team comps are, prepare yourself. So what I've done is I've prepared myself for the next DPS I want to summon and the next team I want to build around. And you guys all know that have watched my channel, my favorite character is March. And what is coming out kind of soon? I want to say either 3.5 or 3.6. We have March's 5-star character coming out. And there's been stuff that's been leaked. Now, nothing official, but based off of the leaks, and the leaks that I hear online are typically somewhat accurate, there's already an idea of what this March character is going to be, and people are calling her Dark March, right? And she's going to be Ice Remembrance based on the leaks, and that her abilities are going to be heavily geared around Remembrance and having memo sprites, which, as I mentioned earlier, you guys said I haven't really been pulling for that. So now I know I want this March team. Just she's a favorite character. I don't care how good she is, right? This is something I've said I want for my account because she's my favorite character. So I'm going to build this team as best as I can. So once I found out about that, I said, all right, I need some Remembrance characters. And when I looked at potential team builds for her, people theory crafting what looks good, I mean, Hyacinth to me was basically a must pull if you're going to do any type of Remembrance setup or have characters that rely on memo sprites. The reason why is because she's the first big time Remembrance healer, right? And we need healer. We need sustain on a team. So, and what this March is going to want is she's pretty much going to want a full Remembrance setup. And you're going to want Memorable Sprites out. So it's like, I kind of have to get Hyacinth now in preparation for that. Now, by the time March comes, it's realistic that Hyacinth could already be on a rerun. Because 3.6 is going to be a ways away yet. So they probably will bring her back, but I'd rather grab her now, get her prepped and done, and I can use her and have fun with her now. I know I'm going to need her, so why not just grab her now? I have the resources to do it. And then I don't take the risk of Hyacinth not being around when March does show up, right? So being that she is a sustained support, which is pretty much a must-have on every team. You either need preservation or you need healing. You need one of the two. It's very hard to get by without those in difficult content. So I figured Hyacinth was a must grab for me, and I would, if we want to talk pull plans right now, anybody looking to build a team that is Remembrance or needs Memo Sprites, you're probably going to want to pick up Hyacinth, because right now she's the most relevant Remembrance Memo Sprite character that's going to give you some good healing, right? And she does what you want. Like I said, she's going to heal your debuffs as well. She's actually going to dish out some damage. She does follow-up attacks, so I could even put her on the Fei Xiao team, but Aventuring's too busted, so we don't mess around with that. If I wanted to, I could take out, my 4-star March and have Hyacinth and Aventuring and like double not die. If I'm really worried about dying, I could try that. That's a realistic team we could do, right? So that's why I pulled Hyacinth. And so luckily, they're very good about giving us the Trailblazer, and they've done very, very well with the Trailblazer in this game and making, him or her, depending what gender you picked, very relevant. So let's take a look at, Trailblazer here. So we've got Trailblazer, and thankfully, when we did Penacony, we got that Harmony Trailblazer, and she was so good. I love it because, and they're smart about it, right? Because they're trying to sell these characters that want specific setups, and they've done a good job of making Trailblazer like perfect for these setups, and it gives players free access to a piece on a team that they're going to need. And it's working once again with the Remembrance Trailblazer because she's so good on these Memo Sprite teams. And she's good at kind of buffing the characters that want them. Like, she's really good for casters. Like, she's good on a caster's team, right? But she's also going to work on my March team. So as I said before, I've kind of like put myself in a bad spot with Remembrance because I haven't summoned for it much. But I just got Hyacinth. I've got Trailblazer, so I've got 2 out of the 3 pieces. March is going to be the 3rd piece. I only need a 4th piece. Well, it turns out they're going to be releasing basically her best support right after her in Cyrene. So Cyrene, without even knowing her kit, people online are saying they made her for Dark March. That's good enough for me. I'm summoning for Cyrene. So my plan is I've already got my team built out. It's going to be Dark March, Cyrene. We're going to use Remembrance Trailblazer, and we're going to use Hyacinth. And then later on down the road, if I have the resources and there's a better character that fits the team and I can take Trailblazer out, I'll definitely do that. But I'm fine using free-to-play characters if they synergize with the team. And I've shown this already, right? Because who else am I using on a team that you guys just saw, right? Let's get to her. Where's she at? Is she way at the bottom here? Oh, God, I already passed her. But you already know I'm using March on that Fei Xiao team, right? Oh, I bet she's at the top because, yeah, she's up at the top. So, yeah, you already know I'm using March, and she's a free-to-play character, and she does great. And I've beaten all the hardest content with this character on my team. So don't be afraid to use your free-to-play characters. That's another just good piece of advice to players, right? So that's basically my pull plans for the foreseeable future. Once I get that March team done, then I'm gonna be pretty low on resources after that, right? Because I'm probably gonna go for some dupes. I might go for the light cones, right? So my goal on March, my DPS. When it's a main DPS character, I'm usually going E1 or E2 plus light cone. So I need a lot of resources for that. So that's why I'm kind of building up, taking my time, getting myself ready for that. My support characters are more when I'm willing to go E0, maybe not. So Hyacinth, for example, I did not summon her light cone, even though her light cone would make her way better. I'm fine with the free-to-play 5-star one. It's good enough. She's mainly there for the support. She's doing what she's doing just fine, and she's at E0, and Hyacinth's doing just fine. I've had no complaints about her at E0. So you kind of have to research a little bit, figure out where you want your characters, where you need them. Once I get past making my initial March team, then what I'll be doing moving forward is if the character doesn't fit a team I'm already doing, I'm probably skipping for a while until I get into this mode where I can really build up a team. But I will be looking to do upgrades to my current teams. So after I make this March team, I'm going to have 4 teams. So it's going to be, you know, my break team, my follow-up team, my Acheron team, and my March team. So if a new character comes out that really enhances one of those teams, then I will consider summoning. But other than that, it's pointless to summon for a character that needs a whole team built around them if you don't have the resources to do it. So that's my kind of general advice to you guys. That's kind of my general account overview. I mean, I don't know what else I could show you guys. I've got tons of materials, tons of resources. I've got, you know, can show you I got a bunch of light cones in here too. I mean, this is, you know, a modest stash of 5-star light cones. I know there are definitely going to be players out there with more, but once again, I don't wail on this game. I'm fairly free to play here. So I feel pretty good, you know, about what I got here, considering I'm fairly free to play. So yeah, I'm good with that. And you can see a bunch of leveled up 4-star ones and a bunch of extra ones down here, but nothing too crazy, pretty modest account, but I've got everything kind of built up. The nice thing is I run my dailies. I use up my energy every day. So I'm building up tons of trace material, tons of money, tons of resources. So it's, you know, this game early on, it is a bit of a grind to max out characters. But when you get late game like this, you're just constantly grinding materials every day. I can just get a new character and max them out like fairly quickly at this point. So it's pretty nice. So anyways, guys, I know this was a bit of a lengthier video, but I'm kind of excited to get back into things and all that. So look forward to some more Star Rail content, some Final Fantasy related stuff. And yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know kind of what your poll plans are, if you agree or disagree with some of my thoughts and strategies. And yeah, we'll catch you guys all on the next one.